What's going on, everybody? LP here, coming at you guys with a top 8 tournament report for GGP Chicago. As you see in front of me, I have the bracket. We're going to go through the bracket, the top 8 deck list, and some of the stats we got from the tournament. So, of course, you see in front of you is the bracket. This is from our top 8 after our 6 rounds of Swiss. Bracket played out like usual, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and so on. And so if we look at our top 8, 50% of the field was playing Chaos Turbo, while the other 50% was on random stuff. So we had Warrior, Panda, Goat, and Reasoning Gate. And it was Reasoning Gate that ended up taking the whole thing. Congrats to Nolan, of course, for that. I think it was Reasoning Gate's first win in an American GGP because it just won in Germany. So yeah, it's good stuff. So let's get into some of the stats that are actually really interesting to see from the tournament. So if we look on our left side, we have 62 players that played in this event, and there's a total breakdown of all the decks that played. It was really awesome to see this graph because I was so happy with the diversity at this event. 30% of the field with Chaos Turbo. We actually expected a bigger field because that's kind of what online tournaments are, but IRL play is a little bit different, and I embrace the diversity. I think it's awesome that more people are playing different kind of decks, and that there are tons more opportunity for, like, you don't have to play Chaos and to play the room. You can play whatever you want and kind of have fun with it and do well. 23% was on Warrior. Panda Burn and Go Patrol were both at 8%. Blue Chaos, sorry, Ritual Chaos was at 7%, Reasoning was at 12%, and everything else was at 13%. Everything else is just like decks that had 2 or less representatives. That's something like, I believe there was a Library FTK deck, someone was playing Empty Jar, stuff like that. And then we get to the really interesting part, talking about side deck cards. And the side deck is definitely a really interesting area to talk about in Go format because it's something that it separates a good Go player from a great Go player, or someone knows how to side properly. So it's really good to see what people are siding and how they are siding, and what comes up the most to see what IRL players are doing versus what online players are doing. I only play in real life. I don't play online for Go tournaments, so this is really cool to see what IRL players are doing. The first, obviously, the number 1 card you see is World Decree playing at 60 copies. So that means tons of people are playing this card at 3 or a little bit less, but a lot of people are playing at 3 in their side deck, which means probably they're expecting a lot of burn in an IRL event, expecting a lot of Warriors to kind of flip that up, just expecting cards that they didn't want to deal with. So Decree's just like, I don't want to deal with a third of the card pool. So definitely a good card to play. Obviously, Mind Control, not surprising. Sock, not surprising. Walk is not surprising, but it is surprising being that high up, being number 4. This really tells me that a lot of people were predicting the burn matchup. So definitely, it was a meta call to try and bring burn, but then you kind of get messed up by the fact that some people were playing walk. So Kinetic Soldier being pretty standard, book standard. Kaiko, I think Kaiko's so low on this list because a lot of people were main decking Kaiko, which I think is correct because in this chaos heavy format, main decking Kaiko is probably always the correct move. Sambaira's up there. Wangu. Oh, Wangu's so broken. Wangu's so good against every matchup. This card is definitely a card that needs to be higher up on the list, meaning more people need to side this card and have more copies. I think the card's insane. And Dust is a top off. The honorable mentions were the 11th and 12th slot. I want to talk about number 12. You can't see me you can't see it because my camera's blocking it. It's Hollowed Life Barrier. That card, crazy. Hollow Life Barrier is a broken card because it fits so well with cast decks already, being a discard trap that's chainable. But also the effect is it prevents all damage. That's battle damage and effect damage. So you can flip this up against a Reasoning Gate, a Burn deck, a Warrior deck. It's so versatile, and because of that versatility, it can come in so many matchups that it almost makes sense, or it doesn't make sense not to side it. It definitely had a really good showing at this event for sure. I haven't seen it come up too much in the online world. I've seen it come up definitely a few times, but not as much as I saw it at this tournament. So it was really cool to see this card get some play. And I really hope people explore more with this card for sure. All right, so that's for some stats. We're going to get into the top 8 deck list now, so let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, we have top 8, 8th place, Sebastian Sparks. This duelist was really cool duelist. I met this duelist actually at this tournament, so ton of fun to play against, ton of fun matches. Those were on stream. They're playing the Chaos Turbo strategy. They're main decking the Kaikos, which is awesome to see. They were expecting a lot of chaos, so glad they were able to prepare for that. Triple Wing Blast, they are Wing Blast Enjoyer, which is, I agree with that card. I prefer it over Regeki Break simply because of the versatility that it offers versus sending cards to graveyards. Wing Blast just, stacking the deck is kind of broken. Everything else looks pretty standard for Chaos Turbo. What about the side? Kinetic Soldier, okay, wanted to come in versus the Warriors. Spell Cancer, definitely he expected some reasoning and some gate decks, which there were about 12% of the field was. So definitely was a good meta call. Berserkerilla, I think that card's just good in every matchup. He was playing the Walks, playing the one Vortex. Okay, I haven't seen Vortex in Turbo decks a lot. Definitely glad he played that because he was definitely expecting. That's definitely good for like goats, and it's definitely good for reasoning decks. They just set up a big board, and if they don't kill you, then you can on the crackbat bust their whole board. So, and he was playing the one Life Barrier. That's definitely told you a good card. You can see it in the top 8 list. You'll see it again later soon. Definitely a good card, underexplored card. Yeah, shout out to this duelist. They did very well. So, congrats on them for making top 8. We have Pete Maiolo for top 8. This duelist was playing the Panda Burn strategy, pretty standard Panda Burn. Looks like they didn't opt to play the Gravity Bind or any other stall card like Nightmare Wheel. They were opting for a little bit different list with the Magic Cylinder and the Reflect Bounder. I don't know about Reflect Bounder. When I was playing it, it underperformed greatly. I really just wanted to test the card, figure out how it worked out in the meta, and it didn't. So it ended up getting sided out a lot, but that's okay. For the side deck, it was pretty standard. 2 knocks in the side because you don't main those. 2 socks, everything just for warriors, mind cons. The Karibo was the only thing that was interesting. I knew there was going to be reasoning gate decks, and the Karibo was just something that they can't interact with, right? If they have Jinzo up, you can't even flip the threatening word before they summon it, or if they, it's something that you can't interact with at all with reasoning gate. So I just wanted to play that card just to have it. Didn't come up though. Other top 8, Eladio Diaz. They were playing the Chaos Turbo strategy. Again, main deck in the Kaiko. I love to see it. They were on the Greki Break build. This looks pretty standard to the Mythical 55 for the 40. Good job to the duelist for that. Let's see about the side. They were playing the Wombat, the Wangu. Wombat and Wangu are just broken cards against Burn. Wombat's a really good card for sure. Gets under those floodgates as well. Wangu is just broken against so many matchups. It's definitely an underplayed card, like I was saying earlier. And this duelist was playing the Triple Decree. They're playing the Triple Judgment, so they were definitely sliding into the really good power cards. Games 2 and 3 to kind of throw off their opponent and really have those good answers. And they were playing the one Xing. I do like Xing. It's definitely better against Warriors than it is against other trap decks like Burn or Control. Just because they have more chainables. Warriors is always playing those battle traps, and being able to shut off those battle traps is really nice with Xing. So, good job to this duelist. Now we're getting into top 8. This was another Chaos Turbo strategy. This is the Mythical 55. Not much to say here. Really just good, standard, solid list. It's actually not based on the side deck because they sided out. They took out one Zambara and one. What is that? Is that a Minecon that they took out? I don't remember what the other 2 cards were, but they took out 2 cards to put in the Hollow Life Barrier. Again, that card's coming up again. You see another top 8 finish. Card's just really good against Burn, really good against Reasoning, just really good overall. If you're playing a Chaos Turbo deck anyway with all those discards, you might as well play the Hollow Life Barrier. It's definitely a really good card. I'm glad to see these duelists are playing it, and it's definitely throws some people off for a loop, and it definitely threw me off for a loop when I got sided against. But it's definitely a really good card. I'm glad to see it played some more. So shout out to this duelist. Good job. Now we're in our top 4. So now we're getting into some really cool stuff. We have Goat Control list. I was super happy a Goat Control list made it. Always got to have one playing to, namesake of the format. Got to play the deck. 3 things of note here. I love the Desert Sunlight. Super cool tech in the Goat Control list for sure. Just want to flip up those Spies and Fates because the value while you can avoid those knocks. Good stuff. The Abyss Soldier. I'm a fan of playing. If you're playing Abyss Soldier, you're either play at 2 or 0. Not a big fan of just playing the 1, but otherwise it just becomes a sacky 1-of. And that's what Goat Control decks have kind of become. It's just sacky 1-ofs that are really good. So if you see it, you see it. You're in there. If you don't, you don't. It's okay. But it's a good card for sure. Definitely get some good wins by bouncing some stuff. And then the last card, of course, is Borg. I know the Borg's becoming a lot more classic for Goat Control now. A lot more people are just kind of, it's part of the 40 that's always there. I think that card's broken. I definitely think that card deserves to be played more, just outside of Goat Control. It's just a hard card to finesse in the 40 because of the resources it requires and the times it can get played around a lot. And a lot of times when I play the Borg, it's always getting, blowing up itself. So maybe I just don't play it right. But this duelist obviously played it very well because they got the top 4. So good job to them. Take a look at the side. They were playing the Asura Priest, so good job for that. They were definitely thinking about the mirror and thinking about reasoning gate decks because just clearing all the scapegoats is a really good way to go. Same thing with the Karibo. Thinking about Reasoning Gates decks, we just gotta have it because they know for a fact there's no interaction with that card, so it's definitely a good meta call. Everything else looks good. Mobius for the Zaborg and back row matchups. Walks, Socks, Swords, and Breaks. Second Dust Shoot in the side, I could see where it comes in going first. Definitely a good card to have. Oh, I actually didn't notice there's not main decking MST. Definitely see it as a trend of as of late, just not main decking the MST because you have different answers already, and you got to make space for other things, right? You already have Breaker, so you might as well, you don't really need it. And the Abyss Soldier kind of can bounce back row too, so I could see it. Definitely for sure. Shout out to this duelist. Good job for getting top 4. Now we have Shukri-itis. Shout out to Shuk, man. He was my only loss of the tournament. Definitely a really good player playing the warrior strategy. Pretty basic list for warriors, for the main deck at least. We'll talk about the side. But definitely I love the 3 Kaiko in the main, expecting a lot of chaos. Definitely a good way to shut him off. The double Sasuke in the main, expecting a lot of chaos, shut off those spies. The double Blade Knight I see is a trend lately, and I did a deck profile for this duelist, and they explained that the double Blade Knight is the trend, is the way to go with the 14 monster count. Definitely something that they really enjoyed, and it actually worked out well for them because they got 3rd place this tournament, so I'm glad it worked out. The double Dust in the main is really good because you're facing a lot of back row decks anyway, and just having that in the main deck as a warrior player, being able to clear those out pretty easily, makes it so your warrior monsters are always getting in and pushing for the extra damage. Triple Dust Shoot, yep. Triple Solemn, yep. Alright, pretty standard main deck. Let's get into our side. This was the really interesting part. They were playing the Hollow Life Barrier as a warrior player. And Shukri was telling me that it doesn't matter about the hand advantage when you're playing the card because you're siding it in for matchups where it's just all in. And so because they're all in, you don't need to worry that much about your hand size or your hand control. And just flipping the Hollow Life Barrier, saving you that turn, and just kind of, blanking their whole turn is totally worth it all the time. So the Compulse was an interesting trap card, definitely an interesting card. I could see it come in for control, see it come in for warrior, see it come in for turbo. It's an all-around good chainable trap card. Definitely is underutilized, but I think to get its full value, you have to play it really skillfully, so I see the 1 coming in for sure. Mobius, good card. Smashing Ground, I'm not a fan of Smashing Ground, I'm not going to front. It's not my favorite card, just being a 1-for-1. Definitely cards that are better out there, but I understand the need for it in a warrior strategy where you can just kind of break or smash the only thing that's in your way and just keep getting in there, so makes sense. And then the token Thanksgiving they talked about, Shukri said the idea was for, go control decks and reasoning decks. You can just pump your life up and keep getting in. You can be a little more reckless because you have more life around to play with, and then you're not worried about burn with drama tokens as much. But the only thing I could think about that is that I don't think it ever came up for him. He was telling me, yeah, it's just a card, it never came up. So shout out to this duelist. Good job for 3rd place on Shukri. Also, I do want to, justice for Shukri. This was one of our players on stream that fell into one of our hiccups. The judge at the tournament gave a improper ruling, which ended up leading to one of the losses for his games that Shukri had. It's just one of those things that, you wish you go back in time or stop, or wish someone was there who, knew about the game could stop. I would definitely, Shukri just felt he just didn't know that ruling at that time, and I think I think the opponent was able to take advantage. Well, I can't say for sure. I don't know if the opponent was able to take advantage of the situation or just maybe they were ignorant too of the rule, but it's not how priority works. You don't get priority to special summon a Sork. But justice for Shuk. He'll get him in the next one. Good job, duelist. Now we're getting to our 2nd place. Now I love this Chaos Turbo list by Darian Twig. The reason I say that is because he's maining the 1 Zaborg. And like I said before in the previous Go Control list, Zaborg is a really good card. And if you're able to utilize it properly, you can get a ton of value out of it, which I saw this duelist doing on stream. I think it was in their top 4 matchup. Zaborg was just getting a ton of value. Super good card, super big card. So once it starts breaking monsters and just get it in for big damage, you're +1 already. And it's a really good tempo card. So definitely a good choice by them. They're on that super turbo version by playing triple draw and double upstart, so they're really drawing their deck. They're deep drawn. And then the really cool tech was the main deck return from the different dimension. I think that's an awesome tech to be able to play. Obviously, it did them well because they got 2nd place. It swung them in the tides of battle to be able to just flip that and take all their stuff they banished off chaos monsters and just get in for big damage. It makes sense, especially if you're banishing a Zaborg for a chaos monster and then returning it back, getting in for an extra 24. That's huge. So definitely a really good meta call to be able to play that to give Chaos Turbo the extra aggressiveness it needed against these super aggro decks. Definitely a good choice. Look at the side. Turbo Kinetic Soldier. So they were really ready. This duelist was really ready against Warriors. They definitely really had, yeah, double Sog, triple Kinetic. Yeah, they were really in there for Warriors. So Kaiko in the main for the mirror. Good job. Double Dusher. Good job. Yep. And the Threatening War makes sense, comes in for the Reasoning deck. I guess it didn't work out for them in the finals. They didn't see that card maybe, but definitely a good card for the Reasoning decks who shuts off their turn. So good job for this duelist getting second place. It's no small feat. And then let's get into our first place winner, Nolan Benson, piloting the Reasoning Gate strategy. Congrats to them first and foremost. That's a huge accomplishment, bringing Reasoning Gates to his first American GGP win. I had this deck profile was also on the channel, and he was talking about how he liked the German list, but he wanted to make a few changes that were unique to his playing style or just fit his playing style better. And that included the one Air Knight Parshath and playing, I think it was an extra, was it the call? Something of that nature that he was able to just get more value out of and that fit his playstyle better. And it made sense too because I was watching his matchups and that Air Knight Parshath was getting in and plussing withdrawal cards. So definitely a good card. I know it's colloquially not the best card because Spy is so prevalent and you're committing to a level 5 that can't get over Spy. But when it hits everything else, you're plussing. So definitely a good card, good strategy. The side deck was super interesting to see. They were playing the double spell cancel for the mirror and the double brain con. I love brain con as a card. Totally underutilized cards in Go format. I think it could definitely be utilized a lot more just for getting it's an egg 1 and card advantage, yes. But just getting the extra damage in by just swiping a monster and pushing, especially if it's something real big. I think that card can definitely be super aggressive. And he was playing the Triple Decree, pretty standard in Reasoning deck, so that makes sense. You can see why that card was the most popular side card of the weekend. And then the Tyrant Dragon, he explained it. It was the same reasoning as the German list, but he just never cited it in, so I guess it never came up. Shout out again to this duelist. They did an awesome job. And shout out to everybody who came to GGP Chicago. Shout out TGS Tinley Park. And of course, I have to shout out the owner, Nick Vidmar, or one of the owners, for creating these awesome graphics with the stats and doing all this stuff, staying up super late, getting all this stuff out. So that was super awesome. Thanks, Vidmar, for putting these together. And these are all posted so you guys can see them. But I wanted to bring them to you guys in video form so you guys are able to see them all laid out in one session. So thanks so much, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys continue to play GOATs, and good luck to everyone who's playing in GGP Detroit. What is that, this weekend, this Saturday? So good luck as everyone playing in that GGP, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.